Hey Dad, this is Heather. I wanted to give you an update. I sent you a postcard from Cass back in 2014, I believe it was, and I told you to harbor the storm because I had to go in and uncover some shit. I'm at stage 4 cancer. The cancer was accelerated. The doctor was supposed to be doing a biopsy, and what he did was he did a laser, some sort of ablation, and he accelerated the cancer. So I moved from stage 1 to stage 4 in a matter of months. This was done deliberately to kill me. Chad had gotten falsified medical records from the University of Missouri, and he made inquiries into the Florida State's Attorney's Office as to why I went to prison. He looked at everything from Panama City, and he looked at the medical records from MU, and he did an interview. He pulled Kim Mann, the supervising state's attorney, out of court, and demanded to know why she sent her key witness to prison, who actually conducted the investigation and saved a law enforcement officer's life, who also happened to be a 22-year veteran officer in the U.S. Navy. He got a bunch of bullshit answers from her, pissed him the fuck off. The next day he got threatened. He said Homeland Security didn't do their job. Once Faye and I were threatened, we were supposed to be sequestered. He also said that after I testified, because I got Beasley 20 years, they should have done a hearing right there in Orlando and dropped that old charge. That old charge was caught while I was on the run. I was on the run because of a previous Medicaid fraud scam by the same bastards. You already know how MU operates. Same bastards giving people false psychiatric diagnoses for the purposes of pushing big pharma drugs for kickbacks. That's how I ended up with 2 shattered legs. Nobody's crazy. You're not crazy. We're autistic. We have Aspergers. That explains why you've gotten so many different diagnoses, like a late onset MS diagnosis, the pain in your back that causes pain down your legs. You have a bad back, but I don't have a bad back. The chronic back pain I was dealing with was not orthopedic. It was caused by autism. For those of us who are on the spectrum, like you and Mom and I, we can hear sounds that nobody else can hear. And because they can't hear them, they think we're crazy. Like if you scratch your fingernails down a chalkboard, everybody's back's like it. So that's what it's like for us, only other people can't hear what we're hearing. The flicker rate of light bulbs can cripple someone with autism, and they don't even have any clue that that's what's doing it. A friend of mine who's a veteran, his name's Timothy Walsh. He spent 2 years in a wheelchair because his employer, he was a maintenance person at some, I don't remember where it was, but the boss changed the light bulbs, and Tim ended up spending 2 years in a wheelchair, crippled from back pain. And it's very real, and yes, and pain medicine does help. Darvocet has been taken off the market because it caused people to become addicted to it that weren't really addicts. It wasn't really an addiction. The medicine was a long-acting narcotic that if you took it more than a couple of 2 or 3 times a day for more than a week, everyone had withdrawal when they stopped taking it. Because it was so powerful and long-acting, it damaged your 2 glands that produce the natural opioids. So that doesn't mean that anybody who went in to withdraw from it was an addict. And there's a textbook that used to be used by ASU called Drug Addiction, Drug Abuse, Drug Therapy, Drug Abuse, Drug Addiction, and Chemical Dependency. And the four things, the point that the book drove home was that those four things do not go hand in hand. You can have somebody go out who never drinks, never drugs, never does anything, go out and spend a lost weekend snorting cocaine. They're not an addict. They're not chemically dependent. The drug isn't used for therapeutic purposes. They are just abusing a drug for a weekend. Or they smoke pot, or they pop a pain pill when they don't need it. That's abuse, but it's not necessarily addiction. A lot of pain patients, like cancer patients, if they take certain medications for a long period of time, they can become chemically dependent and need to be transitioned and tapered off. Doesn't mean they're an addict, doesn't mean they're abusing their drugs. These fucking doctors know this shit. They know it because the rich white folks are getting proper care. They're getting proper assessments and they're getting proper care. The minorities, they're running, Tenet bought up almost all of the independent tax-exempt healthcare systems from coast to coast. And they're running what's called an unbundling. It's called unbundling, where instead of, like with my cancer, I have multiple symptoms. Instead of taking all the symptoms and bundling them up into one diagnosis, shit, we need to get her treated for cancer. And then they only get the bill for the treatment of one diagnosis. They take each separate symptom and give it a separate diagnosis, falsify the records, put symptoms and complaints in there that I didn't complain about, took stuff out that I did complain about to justify all these false diagnoses. So it's worse than double billing. They're like billing for the treatment of 5 or 6 things that aren't even going on. So they're bilking someone's illness, and then the real illness doesn't get treated. Like with my cancer, they were treating the pain, they were treating the nausea, they were treating the infection, but they would give me false diagnoses to justify writing for those medications, and instead of just saying the tumor ruptured, she has cancer, and that isn't my diagnosis. I have multiple doctors on audio saying benign muscular fibroids don't rupture. If it's rupturing and causing sepsis, that's cancer, including the VA doctor. I just recorded the VA doctor saying if that tumor's rupturing and it's causing sepsis, that's cancer. She was absolutely beside herself. And when she tried to get me admitted, she wanted to get me started on IV antibiotics for the sepsis and get me started on IV fluids and get me transferred to a civilian hospital. And when she went to do that, somebody fucked with her, and she had, when I looked at the notes, I was in there for psych reasons. Even though the police were standing right there, everybody's standing right there, and they understood every word I said. And our conversations do not reflect any psych anything. They knew better, but they were scared to go against this tenet that goes nationwide. So you pool all that money from all of those health systems, all those tax-exempt health systems. They have trillions to fight anybody they want to fight. Their problem with me is that I have audio. My attorneys file a lawsuit for falsification of medical records against the first doctor I saw at MU, Dr. Hannah Gavari. She can't, when she deposes herself to respond to that lawsuit, she has to tell the truth. If she lies and says, Miss Moore's lying, Miss Moore's doing this, Miss Moore's doing that, in her sworn deposition, at that point she's charging me with crimes. I get to produce the audio to rebut her sworn perjured deposition response to the court. Now the shit's really going to hit the fan. Now she's really going to get pinched. She's going to roll on the Medicaid director, Dr. Joseph Parks, the Governor Jay Nixon, and the Attorney General Chris Koster, and most of the MU administration. I got them by the short and curlies. Beth Sweeney was desperately trying to get me cancer treatment. We were very much in love with each other. She may have changed her mind by now, but after being bludgeoned by Darla Munoz's lies about me, you, and our family, I couldn't blame her. And what's more, and I told you this, I don't remember whether it was in the WordPress or what it was in. I go into prison. If that's what it takes to keep Beasley behind bars, what's 14 months to me? The problem is I went with cancer. The pain medicine I was on was for cancer. We just didn't know it. I didn't have insurance. They weren't going to diagnose it. They weren't going to diagnose it. So I'm in there with cancer. I go in there. I get pulled down to mental health. You were severely sexually abused and physically abused as a child. And I said, I was? Why don't talk about that? Oh, well, you're just afraid to talk about it. You're scared to talk about it. They've been telling me, Darla Munoz and the Klan have been telling me that you were sexually molesting me all of my fucking life. And yes, I was molested, but it wasn't by you, and you already know that. You know who the fuckers were. They said that you beat Mom. You and Mom got into it. You were both autistic. Fuck, you can't be around Mom. And she don't keep her mouth shut for nobody. She'll cuss you out in a minute. Cuss anybody out. She don't care. Sometimes she doesn't cuss. She just screams and yells and throws a fit. But, you were very, very, very thorough about making sure we knew we had free speech. This was a free motherfucking country. You can say whatever you want to say, and you can stand there and argue with the motherfucker all day long, and nobody can tell you to shut up. But Munoz didn't have a veteran father. She wasn't in the military. She thinks she's a paralegal. All the legal points that she tried to make were bad. I recorded my encounters with her and Lee Summit. She pulled me out. She knew I had cancer, but I was a faggot. And she was too busy trying to pin you, bust you for child molestation, drug trafficking, and murder. So they're pulling shit out of the crack of their ass to try to find Hoffa and the two guys that shot, the one that shot Kennedy and the one that shot Martin Luther King. Nobody's getting a goddamn thing out of me. Nobody gets up in my face and calls me faggot and calls me retard and calls my dad a drug dealer and a murderer and calls my dad a child molester and really goes out of their way to convince me that I was molested, and then tries to get and destroys your life, my life, Mom's life. Well, Mom's still trauma bonded to that mess that she grew up in. She's still defending Bob Green. Bob Green's still drinking his ass off, and Mary's still working 12-hour shifts and supporting his fucking football and fucking alcohol habit, the good old boy motherfucker that he is. Anyway, I'm stage 4 cancer, 8 metastasis. I can only make, I think, a 14 or 15 minute video for YouTube, but they can get me cancer treatment. They can pull me out of stage 4, but they're pissed because I recorded Darla basically doing a lot of shit she wasn't supposed to do. And that's it. I'm not cooperating, and I don't have to. Nobody calls me names and destroys my family and destroys my relationship with Beth Sweeney. The one person who was trying to help get me cancer treatment, Darla went after her tooth and nail. And then told her a bunch of crap about us and me and everybody else. So now we're trying to kill each other, which is exactly how they operate. That's all I have for now.